The pass key was cut from the chain at Mairen Clove's throat, while the mountain was still settling over the patrol. Snow moved in long white breaths across Widow's Pass. Below the judgment platform, rescue ropes hung from the shuttered station, stiff with ice. 32 patrol wolves lay somewhere beneath the eastern slope. No bodies had been recovered. No death bells had been rung. Yet Border Warden Tavra Senn had already written their names into a burial ledger. Alpha King Soren Malk stood before the sealed rescue doors with the iron passkey in his hand. His black winter cloak snapped against the wind. The royal wolf beneath his skin remained silent. "Mairen Clove," he said. "You opened the eastern route after a storm warning and led my patrol beneath an unstable cornice. I did not open it." Tavra held up a route board bearing Mairen's mark. The eastern gate was unlocked with her key. Her warning flag was lowered. The patrol followed the passage she maintained. "My mark records the safe line I closed at dawn." Mairen pointed to the second groove cut beneath it. "That route was altered after my inspection. The mountain buried 32 wolves," Tavra said. "It did not preserve your explanation." Mairen looked toward the slope. "The mountain preserves more than you understand." She had kept Widow's Pass for 16 winters. She knew hollow snow, hidden blue ice, and the ravines that returned a buried survivor's howl. Before sunrise, she had warned Tavra that the eastern shelf carried fresh pressure fractures. The patrol had gone east anyway. Soren closed his hand around the key. "Your station is suspended. The pass remains under border authority until the dead are recovered, and the route failure is judged. Do not call them dead. No heat signatures have been found, because Tavra's men searched from the windward face. Sound and body heat will be trapped beneath the western fold. A second descent would bury rescuers beside them," Tavra said. "Then send me with my own team." "You no longer command one," Soren said. 3 years earlier, another avalanche had taken Mairen's husband, Mairen Clove. She had heard his rescue bell beneath the snow until the mountain shifted and silenced it. She saved 11 others. The border record preserved only that she had failed to reach her husband. She still kept Mairen's cracked rescue bell wrapped in red cord, though no sound had lived inside it since the mountain closed over him. Now Soren was closing the station Mairen had built with her, and placing 32 more lives beneath the same judgment. Mairen laid her coil of red rescue cord across the platform. "Record them as missing." "The survival window has passed," Tavra said. "Record them as missing until every breathing chamber is opened." Soren's gaze settled on her. Long ago, before he wore the crown, she had led him through his first killing winter when his royal wolf failed to hear pressure breaking beneath the snow. No court record contained that failure. No one here knew his wolf had never fully recovered its mountain sense. Mairen knew. She did not use it against him. That dignity made what he did next worse. Soren handed the pass key to Tavra. He had taken the station from the only woman who still refused to bury breathing men. "Seal the rescue station." Royal guards lowered the iron bar across the doors. Inside remained Mairen's sounding rods, heat blankets, snow lanterns, field code gauge, and brass bells used to answer survivors below the drifts. "You are removing the only people who can prove the patrol was sent through a closed line," Mairen said. "Grief has made you suspicious of every command that continues after your husband's death," Tavra answered. "My grief did not teach me this mountain." "No," Soren said quietly. "But it may be shaping what you believe you hear." Mairen looked at him. "You survived your first winter because I heard what your wolf could not." The officers went still. Soren's jaw tightened, but he did not deny it. Then the first stone moved. It emerged beneath the platform with a metallic scrape. Small, silver gray, and smooth as river bone, it rolled across packed snow against the wind. Uphill. A second broke through the crust near the station. Then 10 more. "Avalanche Stones," an old keeper whispered. Hundreds began surfacing across the buried slope. They did not glow or turn toward any person. They rolled slowly against gravity, following lines invisible beneath the snow. Mairen knelt beside the nearest one without touching it. Avalanche stones formed where moon silver slept inside mountain rock. Every collapse pressed direction into them. Once exposed, they retraced the strongest force that had driven the mountain down. They did not know guilt. They remembered pressure. They could not say who cut a fuse. They could only show where the mountain had been forced to begin. The stones passed Mairen. They passed Soren. They rolled around Tavra's boots without stopping and climbed toward the eastern shelf. Old blast wedges were used there last spring, Tavra said. The stones may be answering buried iron. Iron does not make them climb. Force does. The silver lines converged toward a ridge Tavra's wardens had declared untouched. Soren looked at her. What is stored there? Emergency snow charges, Tavra said. Sealed and counted. Open the register. It is at the lower fort. Mairen moved toward the slope. 2 guards crossed their spears. The mountain is still unstable, Soren said. So are the people beneath it. You no longer hold the key. A key opens a station. It does not give you my knowledge. A deep crack traveled through the eastern shelf. The stones stopped beneath a half-buried black post. A fresh fuse groove had been carved into its side, then packed with snow. That proves only that a standard charge was placed, Tavra said. Avalanche control posts remain across the pass. Mairen brushed the post clean. The official rescue mark had been damaged. Beneath it remained 3 shallow notches she could not fully read without the field code gauge locked inside her station. The post proved a blast had begun there. It did not prove who had ordered it or why. Before Soren could speak, Mairen pressed one ear to the snow. At first there was only the groan of buried ice. Then came 3 faint strikes beneath the western fold. Pause. 3 more. The old rescue answer. Mairen looked at the sealed station and then at the king who had closed it. Your dead are still knocking. The stones had not cleared Mairen. They had only proved the mountain had been forced to fall from the wrong place. Soren turned toward the sealed rescue station. Open it. Tavra Senn stepped between him and the doors. You heard 6 strikes through unstable snow. A second descent could bury the rescuers with the patrol. A burial ledger is not a death bell, Mairen said. Soren handed the pass key to a royal guard instead of returning it to her. The station opens for emergency rescue only. Mairen Clove receives temporary rescue witness authority until the western fold is searched. Temporary. Witness. Not keeper. The iron bar lifted. Soren had opened the rescue doors. He had not returned the key. Mairen entered the station she had built with Eamon and broke Tavra's wax seals only on the sounding rods, snow lanterns, heat blankets, rescue bells, and field code gauge. Do not call me witness while my rescue team remains under lock. Soren looked toward the 6 station keepers waiting outside under guard. Release them for the descent. The station remains suspended, Tavra said. Yes, Soren answered. Mairen did not thank him for lending back the people he had taken. She chose 4 keepers, 2 diggers from smaller ridge packs, and a healer accustomed to cold lung. Soren ordered 12 royal wolves to follow. 6, Mairen said. 12 carry more snow. 12 bodies carry more pressure. 6 step where I place them. He reduced the escort. Tavra remained at the station with the burial ledger, route board, and blast post under witness guard. She argued that the knocking might have come from ice striking buried armor. Then the bells will answer what your heat search missed, Mairen said. At the western fold, she drove 3 sounding rods down. The first met solid resistance. The second entered loose powder. The third dropped farther before touching a hollow layer. She placed a brass rescue bell against the rod and struck once. 3 faint blows returned. 1 royal wolf shifted forward. Mairen raised a hand. No digging from above. The chamber roof is carrying the shelf. We enter from the lower blue seam. That seam lies beneath the slide path, Soren said. You needed my hearing before you took my key. His expression hardened, but he stepped behind her. Mairen tied red cord between the team members and led them along the fold. Snow reached her thighs. The mountain groaned above them. At the blue seam, she set 3 lanterns beneath a wool shield. Their heat revealed a thin line of vapor escaping through the snow. Breathing chamber. Narrow. Still open. The diggers cut sideways with flat rescue blades. No one used claws. Claws tore air pockets faster than they opened them. Every few minutes, Mairen stopped the work and rang the bell. The answers weakened. Soren moved to take a shovel. You stand where I tell you, she said. Your weight breaks the left edge. He obeyed. For the first time since reaching Widow's Pass, the Alpha King stood behind Mairen and followed every order she gave. The tunnel opened into darkness. A patrol wolf lay nearest the entrance in human form. One arm braced against a broken shield holding Snow above three others. His lips were blue. His eyes opened only when Mairen spoke his name. Do not shift. Your body cannot pay for it. They wrapped him in a heat blanket and passed him through the tunnel. Two more survivors followed, barely conscious. The fourth had a crushed leg, but still carried a brass signal striker. He had made the knocks. More? Mairen asked. He lifted two fingers, then pointed deeper into the fold. The chamber extended beyond the collapsed shield line. Mairen sent the first four survivors to the station and widened the tunnel only enough for the healer to enter. By dusk, 6 patrol members had been brought out alive. Mairen did not look at Eamon's cracked bell hanging from her belt. 6 men breathed because the station had opened in time. 3 years ago, one bell had not been answered quickly enough. None could give a full account. The patrol captain woke while the healer warmed his lungs with stone steam. Tavra stood beyond the witness rope. Captain, did Mairen Clove order the eastern passage opened? He tried to answer, coughed, and nearly lost consciousness. Mairen knelt where he could see her but did not feed him words. Which line did you enter? The safe line, he whispered. When? After dawn closure. Who diverted you? His eyes moved toward the route board. Second marker had been turned. Warden Escort said the lower line was blocked. Did you see Mairen? No. The healer ended the questioning. The survivor confirmed only that the patrol was diverted after Mairen closed the safe line. He had not named who changed the marker, or why. Tavra folded her arms. A mistaken field adjustment remains possible. It does not prove deliberate burial. No, Mairen said. The mountain answers pressure first. Men answer records later. She returned to the black blast post under 3 witnesses and fitted the field code gauge over its 3 shallow notches. The first marked direction. The second marked slide depth. The third carried no emergency release cut. It carried the closed road angle used to collapse snow across a trade passage. Trade blocking blast, one old keeper said. Tavra did not retreat. Those marks may predate this storm. Weather damages field codes. Old control posts remain across the pass. The fuse groove is fresh, Mairen said. The code tells us what the post was set to do. It does not tell us who set it. Soren ordered the post. Route board, burial ledger, and warning flag preserved under witness. He expanded Mairen's temporary authority to direct the rescue and examine the charge records. He had widened the work she was allowed to do, not returned the command he had cut from her throat. Her station remained suspended. The key remained with the crown guard. A king can open a rescue door and still leave the keeper outside her own command, she said. Soren did not answer with apology. Open the register. A rider brought the charge ledger from the lower fort after nightfall. Tavra inspected the seal. Unbroken. Mairen checked the issue columns. 6 emergency snow charges had been stored for Widow's Pass. 4 remained at the fort. 2 had been removed before the patrol departed. The authorization line was blank. Blank did not name a hand. It only proved 2 charges had left the fort, without a record willing to claim them. Before dawn, the lower fort clerk was brought to Widow's Pass with frost on his eyelashes and fear in both hands. His name was Niven Holt. He had kept the charge room for 9 winters. When Soren placed the sealed ledger before him, Niven stared at the blank authorization line longer than anyone else. Was an oral emergency issue given before the patrol departed? Soren asked. Niven swallowed. No, Maestro. Tavra Senn stood beside the evidence table. Storm operations often outrun written entries. A verbal order may have passed through a deputy. Then which deputy? Mairen asked. Niven looked toward Tavra, then down at the ledger. No oral issue was reported to me. A missing line is not innocence, Mairen said. It is only a door records hope no one opens. Soren ordered the lower fort charge room sealed and examined under independent witness. The pass key remained at the crown guard's belt. Soren had widened the work she was allowed to do. He had not returned the command he had cut from her throat. The charge room lay beneath the lower fort, carved into black stone where cold could not reach the blasting wax. 6 iron hooks lined the far wall. 4 still held emergency snow charges. 2 hooks were empty. Niven lifted the oldest storage record. Older stock was kept on the lower rack. The lower rack remained full. Mairen knelt beside the empty hooks. Fresh scrape marks cut through the rust where the missing charges had been lifted. A strand of red packing fiber clung to one iron point. "These came from the emergency shelf," she said. "Not old control stock," Tavra answered calmly. "Emergency charges may be removed for preventive release when pressure rises. Then the removal should have been entered. Unless the clerk failed." Niven's face went white. "I did not." Mairen examined the hook height, storage wax, and torn fiber. "Who had access?" "Fort Quartermaster." "Border Command deputies." "Warden Authority." "That is not a hand," Tavra said. "No," Mairen replied. "It is a smaller room." Soren sealed the fibers, hook scrapings, and wax impressions. Then he ordered the route marker maintenance records opened. The second marker had been serviced after Mairen closed the safe line at dawn. The entry described routine ice clearing. The maintenance time fell 20 minutes before the patrol reached the fork. "Who signed the work?" Soren asked. A deputy's field seal marked the page, but the name line had blurred beneath melted snow. Tavra said, "Field seals are shared during storms." "By how many deputies?" Mairen asked. "Four." "Which four were on the pass?" Tavra named them. One escorted the patrol. One remained at the lower fort. One had gone west with a grain convoy. The fourth had been assigned to the warning ridge. Mairen turned to the preserved route board. Her original closure groove remained at the lower edge. A second groove had been cut after it, shallow enough to resemble a correction. "A route mark can be copied," she said. "A mountain's pressure cannot." The patrol captain had confirmed that the second marker was turned. The maintenance record now fixed when someone had access to it. It still did not prove who turned it. The warning flag came next. Under station procedure, a closure flag was lowered by untying the inner knot and winding the rope onto a wall cleat. The recovered rope showed no loosened knot. It had been cut. The severed fibers were clean beneath a crust of ice. Tavra touched the frozen end. "A blade cut does not identify the blade." "No," Mairen said. "But it proves the flag was not lowered by station procedure." The old keeper beside her examined the rope. The cut was made from outside the station wall. Tavra's jaw tightened slightly. Any patrol knife could reach it. "After the doors were sealed?" Mairen asked. No one answered. Soren ordered the flag rope entered beside the charge evidence and expanded Mairen's temporary standing to question route maintenance and warning post custody. The station remained suspended. The key remained with the crown. "You can borrow my hands for the buried," Mairen said. "You have not returned the station that made them useful." Soren did not move closer. "Continue." Rescue continued through the afternoon. 3 more survivors were drawn from the western fold. 1 unconscious. 2 unable to speak beyond names and numbers. Mairen worked until blood warmed the inside of her gloves. When the healer cut them away, Eamon's cracked rescue bell struck softly against her belt. No sound lived inside it. Still, the metal brought back the night she had begged the old border command to reopen the slope after officials declared the survival window passed. "My grief did not teach me rescue," she said. "It taught me what happens when officials stop listening too soon." The phrase caught Niven's attention. "Survival window passed," he whispered. Mairen looked at him. "What?" "That wording. It was used in another file." Soren ordered Mairen Clove's Avalanche record brought from the station archive. He had opened the file that once buried her husband. He had not opened the station that would have answered him. Tavra objected. "His death occurred 3 years ago under different command conditions." "Then the file will show the difference," Soren said. The report was too thin for 11 survivors and 1 missing rescue keeper. It stated that Eamon's breathing chamber could not be reached before secondary collapse risk exceeded acceptable limits. The rescue station had been closed 6 hours after the first slide. No sounding rod map was attached. No bell response record remained. Mairen read the final finding. "Survival window passed. Further descent denied by border authority." "You used death as an administrative shortcut before the mountain finished answering," she said. Tavra's voice stayed even. "You do not know that he remained alive." "No. I know the record stopped asking." Soren turned the page. A deputy's seal stood beneath the closure order. The same seal appeared on the current route marker maintenance entry. The recorder placed both pages beneath the witness lamp. The impressions matched. A split pine above 3 snow lines. Niven looked at Tavra. That was Deputy Warden Brelin Thatch Seal. Brelin Thatch was the deputy who had escorted the patrol into the Eastern Passage. If Brelin had not returned, then he was either buried with the men he led or absent from the snow for a reason no ledger had named. The watch roll showed he had not returned from the mountain. Brelin Thatch had carried the seal. The record had not yet shown whose command he carried with it. By first light, Mairen had divided the western fold into 6 rescue lanes, and none of them contained Brelin Thatch. 14 patrol members had now been brought out alive. 3 remained too deep beneath the broken shelf to reach, before the support tunnels were widened. The rest were still missing. Tavra Senn stood beyond the red rescue cord with her burial ledger closed beneath one arm. If Brelin escorted the patrol, he may be buried beyond the first chamber, she said. His absence does not turn a field seal into a command order. No, Mairen answered. It turns him into someone we must find before the snow or the records speak for him. Soren ordered the rescue continued until every marked chamber had been opened. Then he sent 2 royal recorders to secure Brelin's watch roll, equipment chest, and deputy seal custody book. The pass key remained on the crown guard's belt. A king could order the search widened and still leave the keeper outside her own command. Mairen drove a sounding rod into the northern edge of the fold. The metal returned a dull vibration rather than open air. Packed collapse, she said. Not a breathing chamber. A weak howl came from farther west. She shifted the team 20 paces, set a rescue bell against the snow, and struck twice. One answer returned, followed by a scraping rhythm too uneven to be ice. The diggers entered from below the shelf. Soren took the rear position without being asked. He carried blankets, not authority. They reached 2 patrol wolves beneath a snapped supply sled. One had wrapped his cloak around the other and kept him awake by cutting shallow marks into his own palm. Neither man was Brelin. The stronger survivor remembered the route change. We passed the second marker after first bell, he whispered. Deputy Thatch stopped us before the warning ridge. Why? Mairen asked. He argued with someone above the road. Did you see who? Only a dark border cloak. Silver shoulder clasp. Every command officer at Widow's Pass wore such a clasp. What did you hear? The survivor's eyes closed while he searched the memory. Thatch said the station had closed the line. The other voice said command had replaced the station order. Man or woman? I could not tell through the wind. The healer ended the questioning. Tavra said. That supports an oral field adjustment. It does not prove sabotage. It proves Brelin knew my closure still stood before the patrol was diverted, Mairen replied. At the station, the deputy seal custody book arrived under wax. Brelin's split pine seal had been signed out 40 minutes before dawn. The return column was empty. Who witnessed the issue? Soren asked. A mark beside the line belonged to the night quartermaster. The quartermaster was summoned from the lower fort. He confirmed that Brelin collected the seal kit, a marker chisel, and a storm lantern. Did he request charges? Mairen asked. No. Did he name his assignment? Eastern escort and field correction. Correction ordered by whom? The quartermaster rubbed both hands against his coat. He carried a folded snow order. I did not read it. Tavra remained composed. Deputies routinely carry field instructions. A signed-out seal proves custody, not improper use. Mairen opened Brelin's equipment chest. The marker chisel was missing. The storm lantern had been returned with pale blast wax on its lower rim. Soren ordered the wax compared with the 2 missing emergency charges. The composition matched the fort stock. Still, no witness had seen Brelin set a charge. Do not hand me a missing man and call him the whole truth, Mairen said. I have not, Soren answered. You opened Amon's file. You have not opened the command that closed it. He did not defend himself. Instead, he expanded her temporary standing to Brelin's seal records, movement logs, and field orders. Her station remained suspended. The key remained with the crown. You can make me useful for rescue, she said. You have not made me trusted. The route marker watch scratches were examined next. Each patrol crossing left a metal trace on the marker's turning ring. The newest scratch had formed shortly before the patrol entered the eastern line. Brelin's watch roll placed him at that marker during the same interval. Tavra pointed to the record. Then he may have turned it on his own authority. A deputy can turn a marker, Mairen said. He cannot teach a whole border office to bury bells unanswered. She placed Eamon's old closure order beside the current maintenance page. The same split pine seal appeared on both. But 3 years earlier, Brelin had been a junior field deputy with no authority to close a rescue station or deny a second descent. The old command rules required a warden-level order above his seal. Who held that authority? Soren asked. Tavra answered without hesitation. My predecessor was ill. I served as acting border warden that winter. That does not prove I issued the closure. Brelin may have carried another officer's decision. Mairen looked at Eamon's cracked bell resting beside the file. I am not asking grief to testify. I am asking why 2 ledgers learned the same silence. A shout came from the western slope. The rescue team had opened another chamber. Mairen left the records where they lay and ran. 3 wolves were brought out beneath a canopy of heat blankets. The last had severe frost damage and a broken shoulder, but he remained conscious long enough to name the person who had ordered the patrol away from Mairen's closed line. Deputy Thatch carried the order, he said. He argued against it. Then he obeyed. Did he name who gave it? Soren asked. The survivor shook his head. He said the warden would strip his rank if he delayed. Tavra's fast did not change. Every border officer answers to the warden's office. That statement does not identify a private instruction. No, Mairen said. But it tells us Brelin was carrying fear as well as a seal. Brelin was still not among the rescued. At dusk, the royal recorder finished searching the command annex. The public field ledger contained no order assigning Brelin to alter the route. The private snow order book from Tavra's locked desk did. 1 line had been written before dawn, between grain route closures and patrol assignments. B. T to carry field change, no station witness. Soren sealed Tavra's private snow order book before anyone could reduce the line to clerical shorthand. No page leaves this room, he said. No ink is scraped. No clerk is dismissed until the hand, date, and custody are examined. Tavra remained beside her locked desk. A private order book records unfinished field intentions. No station witness may mean the station was already sealed. Not that anyone meant to exclude Mairen. The station was not sealed before dawn, Mairen said. I closed the safe line myself. Then the note may have anticipated a later adjustment. Before the patrol departed, Tavra did not answer that question directly. The mountains change faster than ink. Mairen looked at the line again. So do excuse. The royal recorder compared the entry with the other orders on the page. The grain closures above it had been written by Tavra's command secretary. The patrol assignment below it carried a different hand. The line concerning Brelin matched neither perfectly. Its first letters were narrow and controlled. Its final words leaned harder into the paper, as though written while standing. Who had access to this book? Soren asked. Myself, my secretary, and the night adjutant during storm operations, Tavra said. Which of them wrote this? I cannot identify every line entered under emergency command. Mairen touched no part of the page. A book can hold an order without telling us whose mouth gave it. Soren ordered handwriting samples taken from all 3 authorized hands and placed Tavra's command annex under witness seal. He also suspended her authority to alter routes, issue charges, or close rescue lanes until the inquiry separated office action from personal command. He did not call her guilty. He called the route unsafe under her unchecked authority. The passkey remained with the Crown Guard. Mairen watched Soren remove power from Tavra while still withholding the command he had taken from her. You can distrust her office without trusting mine, she said. Yes. The answer did not ask her to mistake honesty for repair. A rescue bell sounded from the western fold. 2 strikes. Pause. 1. Not the patrol answer. The old signal for a trapped rescuer separated from the main chamber. Mairen was already moving before the second bell finished. She took 4 keepers, the healer, and 6 flat blades. Soren followed at the rear. Tavra was kept behind the witness line under royal guard. The sound came from above the first breathing chamber, nearer the warning ridge where the survivor had heard Brelin arguing before the route changed. Mairen drove a rod beneath the ridge lip. Metal answered metal. Lantern or seal case, one keeper said. Or a belt buckle, Mairen replied. Dig from the west. The upper shelf is split. The royal wolves began clearing snow. Hands only at the last foot, she ordered. No claws. Soren carried removed snow downslope. He did not step beside her, as though labor had erased judgment. The tunnel reached a narrow pocket formed beneath a broken marker sled. Brelin Thatch lay inside. His left leg was pinned beneath the axle. One hand still gripped a brass rescue bell. The other was wrapped around a leather seal case pressed against his chest. He was alive. Barely. Mairen crawled into the pocket and checked his breath. "Do not shift," she said. "Your bones will not hold it." His eyes opened. "Patrol? 19. You make 20. Relief moved through his face before pain closed it again. "Charge," he whispered. "Where?" He tried to lift his head toward the ridge. "Second one." The healer stopped him from speaking further. They freed the axle, bound his leg, and carried him into the station beneath heat blankets. His seal case remained closed under 3 witnesses. Tavra watched from outside the treatment rope. A dying man's fragments cannot be treated as testimony. "He is not dying if the station does its work," Mairen said. The words struck deeper than accusation. Breland slept for 3 hours while the handwriting samples were compared. The line in Tavra's private book matched the night adjutant's letter shapes but not his pressure. Under questioning, the adjutant admitted he had copied the first half from a spoken instruction, then left the book open when the warning horn sounded. "Who completed the final words?" Soren asked. "I do not know." "Was Tavra in the room?" "Yes." "Was her secretary?" "For part of the time." Tavra said, "Presence is not authorship." "No," Mairen agreed. "And authorship is not yet command." The deputy seal case was opened next. Inside lay Brelin's split pine seal, the missing marker chisel, and a folded root slip marked for the Eastern Passage. The slip ordered him to carry a field change and escort the patrol beyond the second marker. It bore Tavra's office crest. No personal signature. Across the bottom, Brelin had written his own note. "Station closure still active. Requested delay. Denied." Soren read it once. Who denied him? No answer lived on the paper. When Brelin woke, his voice was little more than air. Mairen sat where he could see her. She did not ask who caused the avalanche. "Who gave you the route slip?" "Night adjutant." "Did he name the source?" "Warden command." "Did you turn the marker?" "Yes." "Did you cut the warning rope?" "No." "Did you set the charges?" "One." The room tightened. "Which one?" Mairen asked. "Lower post. Standard release, shallow depth." "The stones climbed to the upper ridge," she said. His eyes opened wider. "Then someone set the second after I left." Tavra stepped closer to the rope. "Deputy, did I personally order you to alter the route?" Brelin looked toward her, but the healer blocked further questioning. "He has answered enough." Mairen turned to Soren. "Do not give me Brelin because you are afraid to ask who used his obedience after he tried to delay." Soren ordered the lower post located and preserved. Its setting matched a standard shallow release, not the trade-blocking depth found above the patrol route. Brelin had carried 1 charge. The second had been placed by another hand. At dusk, the healer returned Brelin's soaked outer coat to the evidence table. Meltwater darkened one pocket where a folded scrap had been stitched beneath the lining. Mairen opened it under witness. The scrap was not from the current patrol. It was 3 years old. Across the top stood Mairen Clove's name. Below it, in Brelin's hand, were 4 words. He found the upper charges. Mairen ordered the old scrap sealed beside Brelin's route slip before Tavra could call it the memory of a freezing man. "When did you write this?" Soren asked. Brelin lay beneath heat blankets, his face gray with pain. 3 winters ago, after Mairen Clove went missing. "Why was it hidden in your coat?" "Because the first copy disappeared." Tavra stood beyond the treatment rope. "A deputy's private note is not a command record." "No," Mairen said. "It is a reason to ask what the command record removed." The healer allowed Brelin only a few more answers. Mairen had inspected the upper ridge 2 days before the old avalanche. He found blasting wax packed into posts that were not listed in the seasonal control register. Brelin, then a junior deputy, carried his warning to Border Command. "Who received it?" Soren asked. "The acting warden's desk." Tavra's voice remained steady. 3 years ago, every warning entered through that desk. That does not prove it reached me personally. "Was the ridge cleared?" Mairen asked. "No," Brelin whispered. The next morning, the mountain broke. Did Eamon set a charge? I do not know. The healer ended the questioning. The answer did not clear Eamon. It only placed him near hidden charges before the avalanche that killed him. A rescue horn sounded outside. Mairen left the evidence table at once. The western fold had shifted while Brelin spoke. A lower tunnel collapsed behind two keepers, cutting them off from the remaining patrol chamber. Soren followed Mairen into the snow. You stay on the red cord, she ordered. I can die. You can add weight. Stay where I place you. He obeyed. Mairen read the new fracture by pressing one bare palm against the crust. The snow trembled in short pulses, not the long movement of a full shelf release. Air pocket settling. Cut from the south seam, the team tunneled beneath a broken supply frame and reached the trapped keepers first. Beyond them, 3 patrol members remained under a slab of compacted snow. 2 were alive. 1 was not. Mairen covered the dead man's face only after the healer confirmed there was no breath. The burial ledger had named all 32 too early. Rescue had now forced 22 names back into life and 1 into honest death. The remaining 9 were still missing. When Mairen returned to the station, Eamon's cracked bell struck against her belt with each step. Soren looked at the blood on her gloves. He did not reach for her. Instead, he ordered the old upper ridge sealed as a second evidence site, and every surviving post examined under Mairen's temporary authority. The key remained with the Crown Guard. You can send me back into the mountain, she said, and still keep my own station guilty. Yes. His answer carried no defense. At the upper ridge, the current blast post stood above the patrol route. 50 paces west, buried beneath wind-packed snow, Mairen found the remains of an older post split by the avalanche 3 years before. The old wood carried a dark amber residue inside its grain. The current second charge carried the same residue beneath the fresh wax. Nivenholt scraped both samples into separate glass tubes. Winter-hardening resin, he said. Standard charge wax becomes brittle above the tree line. This keeps the fuse bed flexible. Who receives it? Mairen asked. Niven opened the fort supply book. Border Command. Trade road crews. Grain route wardens. Tavra said. Half the northern crossings use that resin. Matching wax does not identify an order. No, Mairen replied. It connects 2 unlisted upper charges across 3 winters. The old post bore 4 shallow cuts beneath the splintering. Mairen fitted the field code gauge over them. The first marked slide direction. The second marked depth. The third carried the same closed road angle as the current trade-blocking blast. The fourth was different. Deflection cut, she said. Someone altered the charge path after it was set. Soren looked toward the village below. What would that do? Turn the main pressure west, away from the houses. Who made it? Mairen studied the cut. Unlike the official notches, it had been carved with a rescue blade, narrow and slightly hooked. Eamon's blade had carried that shape. Tavra's expression did not change. Similarity is not proof. Any keeper could own such a blade. No, Mairen said. But someone changed the blast after finding it. They opened Eamon's old equipment inventory. His rescue blade had never been recovered. His last recorded movement placed him on the upper ridge before he descended toward the village. The old official report claimed he entered the slide path in panic after the first release. Mairen looked across the deflection line. He did not run into the avalanche. Soren said nothing. He turned it. The words did not make Eamon flawless. They changed only the direction of his final choice. If he had cut the deflection notch, he had sent the heaviest pressure into the abandoned West Ravine instead of the village, and followed it down. Tavra answered carefully. That remains reconstruction. No witness saw him make the cut. Then we find the records that explain why the upper charge was there. The grain route ledgers were brought from the lower fort. During the winter Eamon died, Widow's Pass had closed for 11 days after the avalanche. Smaller packs were forced to buy grain through a private southern road at Triple Toll. The road belonged to Senn Border Holdings. Tavra's family name appeared on the charter, but the account was managed by a commercial steward. A family holding is not a blast order, she said. No, Mairen agreed. It is a reason someone profited when this pass closed. The current season's trade forecast showed the same pattern. If Widow's Pass remained blocked, grain traffic would again move through the Senn Road. Soren ordered the toll accounts frozen for review and Tavra removed from all route pricing authority. He still did not return the station key. At dusk, Niven found a sealed maintenance packet behind the old grain ledgers. It contained Upper Ridge inspection slips from 3 winters ago. Eamon had signed the first. Brelin had witnessed the second. The third had been filed after Eamon died. It declared the hidden charges lawful emergency control and ordered the deflection cut omitted from the official map. The approving line carried no personal signature, only the acting warden's private winter seal. Tavra wore that seal on a chain beneath her collar. Soren ordered Tavra's winter seal removed from its chain and placed beneath 3 witness lamps. She did not resist. An acting warden's seal authorizes an office, she said. It does not prove the hand that pressed it. No, Mairen answered. But an office that profits from closed roads cannot hide behind the shape of its own authority. The seal custody log was brought from the command annex. 3 winters earlier, Tavra had held primary possession. Her secretary could use it only in her presence. A night adjutant could carry it during storm command, but every use required a countersigned line before dawn. The old Upper Ridge order had no countersign. The current private snow order entry had none either. Soren ordered every uncountersigned use of the seal separated from routine command records. Tavra folded her hands. Missing countersigns prove disorder, not conspiracy. Disorder repeated where people die becomes policy, Mairen said. A rescue bell sounded from the north lane before anyone could answer. 1 strike. A long pause. Then 2. Mairen turned away from the evidence table. The remaining patrol members had not been found beneath the western chambers. The new sound came from the old maintenance cut below the warning ridge, a narrow passage omitted from the current rescue map. Who removed that cut from the station chart, she asked. Tavra said. It was abandoned after Eamon's avalanche. Abandoned does not mean empty. Soren ordered the route opened under Mairen's direction. The pass key remained with the Crown Guard. You will unlock the station stores, Mairen told him. All of them. I need the long anchors and the heated line. Emergency access only, Tavra said. Mairen looked at Soren. A king can keep naming limits while the mountain keeps naming lives. He ordered every rescue store opened. He still did not return the key. The maintenance cut ran beneath a shelf of blue ice, too narrow for shifted wolves. Mairen tied the team together with red cord and sent the lightest keeper first. Soren followed at the rear carrying anchor spikes. Halfway through, the tunnel divided. The left passage smelled of lamp smoke. The right carried human breath. Mairen chose the right. They found 4 patrol members beneath a collapsed timber brace. 2 were conscious. 1 had wrapped his coat around another man whose hands had frozen around a route whistle. The 5th body lay beyond them. Deputy Brelin's second in command. Not Brelin. The conscious survivor gripped Mairen's sleeve. Upper post, he whispered. Thatch tried to turn us back. Who stopped him? Warden Rider. Gray mare. Private seal on the order. Did you see the rider's face? No, hooded. What happened after? Thatch went uphill. Said he would check the charge himself. The healer ended the questioning. 4 more patrol members returned alive. 2 were now confirmed dead. 4 remained missing. Mairen recorded every name herself before Tavra's burial ledger could decide what the snow had not yet answered. At the station, Soren preserved the survivor's statement and ordered all gray mares assigned to Border Command listed. There were 7. Tavra's personal mount was one of them. So were 6 others, she said. A color is not a rider. No, Mairen replied. And a seal is not yet a hand. But both were carried where no station witness was allowed. The private winter seal impressions were compared next. The old order, omitting Eamon's deflection cut, bore a slight fracture along the lower pine branch. The current snow order book impression showed the same fracture. Niven Holt examined Tavra's physical seal. The lower branch was still broken. That damage occurred before both orders, he said. When? Soren asked. The repair ledger placed the fracture 4 winters earlier. Tavra remained steady. My seal was used by authorized command staff. Then name who used it without countersign, Soren said. I cannot reconstruct every storm hour across 3 winters. Mairen laid Eamon's old inspection slip beside the current charge record. You do not need every hour. Only the ones when a pass closed, a warning vanished, and your road became necessary. The Senn toll accounts were opened under witness. After Amon's avalanche, grain prices tripled across 5 smaller packs. This winter, Tavra's commercial steward had already prepared emergency contracts to activate if Widow's Pass closed again. The contracts were dated 2 days before the patrol entered the eastern route. Tavra read them without visible alarm. Winter contingencies are prepared before every storm season. Were they prepared before every avalanche? Mairen asked. The steward was summoned. He arrived near midnight, wrapped in sable and resentment. Who instructed you to ready these contracts? Soren asked. Border Warden Senn's commercial office. Her personally? The instruction came through her private winter seal. Tavra said. My seal authorizes the office. Who delivered the order? The steward hesitated. Deputy Brelin Thatch. Mairen's expression did not change. When? The night before the patrol departed. Brelin had carried the seal, the field change, and the commercial order. Still, none of it proved he designed the scheme. Do not give me Brelin because you are afraid to ask who he obeyed, Mairen said. Soren looked at Tavra. Was Brelin acting under your authority? He was a deputy of my command. That was not the question. Tavra's silence lasted one breath too long. Then the North Lane rescue bell rang again. 3 rapid strikes. A collapse warning. Mairen ran before the recorder finished turning the page. The maintenance cut had shifted. One of the last missing patrol wolves had crawled into a narrow air seam and struck Stone with his buckle. They reached him at dawn. He was alone. When Mairen asked where the others were, he pointed uphill. Thatch took them toward the upper charge, he whispered. Said the second blast had not fired clean. How many? 2 with him. Brelin and 2 patrol wolves were still somewhere above the ridge. The survivor pressed a frost-burned hand against Mairen's wrist. He said if the second charge went, the village would take the slide. Mairen looked toward the old deflection line Amon had once cut into the mountain. 3 winters apart, 2 men had climbed toward hidden charges while Border Command prepared to call the road closure necessary. Soren ordered the upper ridge searched. Tavra said. That slope will kill anyone who enters it now. Mairen took the long anchors from the open station stores. So would leaving it unanswered. As she crossed the witness line, Niven called after her. He had found one more entry beneath the Senn contracts. Payment authorized upon closure of Widow's Pass. Recipient. Brelin Thatch. Condition. Upper route secured before first grain convoy. Mairen reached the first anchor point before the payment entry had been fully copied. The upper ridge rose above Widow's Pass like a white wall split by black stone. Wind erased each footprint almost as soon as it formed, somewhere beyond the deflection cut. Brelin Thatch and 2 patrol wolves were trapped beside a charge that had failed to fire cleanly. Soren secured the rear line around his waist. You remain behind the second anchor, Mairen said. The charge may release the whole shelf. That is why you remain where I place you. He accepted the order. Below them, Tavra stood inside the witness boundary with the payment ledger under guard. Brelin's name appears as recipient, she called. He had motive to secure the closure. A promised payment is not proof it reached him, Mairen answered. And a man can carry an order without writing it. She drove a long anchor into blue ice. The rescue team moved one body at a time. No shifted wolves climbed with them. Claws and added weight could fracture the shelf. At the second anchor, Mairen found a dragged line in the snow. Blood had frozen along one edge. A patrol buckle lay beneath the drift. Soren bent to retrieve it. Leave it, mark the place. He obeyed. The slope narrowed beneath an overhanging cornice. Mairen pressed a sounding rod to the snow and felt 2 pressures. One came from the natural weight above. The other pulsed through the ridge in short, unnatural intervals. Live fuse bed, she said. A faint bell sounded beyond the cornice. Mairen crawled under the ice lip and found a cavity between ridgestone and a collapsed marker frame. 1 patrol wolf lay unconscious inside. The second held a broken anchor against his chest to keep the space open. Brelin was farther uphill, wedged beside a black blast post. Both hands were wrapped around a half-pulled charge cylinder. Do not move it, Mairen said. Brelin opened his eyes. Fuse split. Did you cut it? 1 branch. Second ran under the post. Who set the depth? Not me. The healer reached the patrol wolves while Mairen examined the charge. 1 fuse branch led to the shallow release Brelin had described. The other ran deeper beneath the post and angled toward the village-facing shelf. 2 firing paths inside one housing. Tavra's voice carried from below. Field charges are sometimes doubled to ensure release. Not at opposing depths, Mairen called back. One clears the road. The other takes the village. Brelin struggled to speak. Found it after slide started. Took 2 men up. Couldn't pull the core. Did you know there were 2 charges? No. The healer warned that his breath was failing. Did you receive the closure payment? Mairen asked. No. The royal recorder checked the toll account below. No transfer to Brelin appeared. The payment had been authorized, but held in a clearing account, controlled by Senn Border Holdings. Tavra answered at once. Then it may have been contingency compensation for hazardous field duty. Recorded under his name where investigators would stop, Mairen said. Or delayed by the Avalanche. Neither explanation proved who designed the charge. The second fuse pulse quickened beneath Mairen's palm. They had minutes. She ordered the 2 patrol survivors lowered first. Soren managed the anchor line from behind the second point, following each signal without argument. Brelin remained pinned beside the cylinder. We cannot move him without shifting the post, the healer said. Then we stop the deep branch first. Mairen opened her rescue knife. Its hooked edge matched the cut Eamon had once carved into the old deflection post. Soren saw it. What do you need? A counter groove across the deep fuse bed. If pressure releases, it must travel west. The same path Eamon cut. Yes. He drove an anchor where she pointed and held the line while Mairen crawled beyond Brelin. The village roofs lay far below. You sealed the station before the mountain finished answering, she said. I did. You still hold my key. Yes. Then hold the line as if authority depends on listening. The fuse hissed. Mairen carved the first groove. The mountain shuddered. She cut the second at a western angle, then packed the channel with loose moon-silver stones and wet snow. Avalanche Stones did not obey her. They only settled into the new pressure path because the ridge had begun to lean that way. The deep branch fired. The upper shelf broke with a sound like stone cloth tearing. Snow rushed west into the abandoned ravine instead of toward the village. The rescue anchors bent beneath the remaining force. Soren held the line. Mairen covered Brelin until the air cleared. The blast post remained standing, split along one side. Inside its housing lay a brass depth plate stamped with the same private winter seal found on the old order. Tavra called from below. A seal plate can be carried by any command deputy. Yes, Mairen said. So preserve the tool marks around it. Brelin was lowered alive. The 2 patrol wolves followed. 25 members of the patrol had now been rescued. 2 were dead. 5 remained missing. At the station, the brass plate was cleaned under witness. Its front carried Tavra's private winter seal. Its back bore adjustment scratches. Niven compared them with the command workshop tools. 1 adjustment key was missing. The custody list assigned that key to Tavra's commercial steward, the man who had prepared the grain contracts before the pass closed. Tavra did not retreat. My steward inspected toll posts and avalanche barriers. Possession is not proof of use. No, Mairen said. But the road profit, hidden depth, and missing tool now occupy the same command. Soren ordered the steward confined for questioning, and the Senn toll road closed to new contracts. He still did not return the pass key. Brelin woke near midnight. Mairen placed the private snow order book where he could see it. Did you carry this field change? Yes. Who spoke the order? The warden's voice came through the speaking wall. I never saw who stood on the other side. The command annex used a narrow acoustic channel for storm orders. Only 3 people held access to its inner door. Tavra, her command secretary, and the commercial steward. When royal guards opened the speaking room, they found the steward gone. On the inner wall, someone had carved a fresh instruction. Close widows pass before the first grain convoy. And let Brelin carry the blame. Royal guards found the commercial steward's horse missing from the lower stable before dawn. His name was Odrin Vale. He had prepared the grain contracts, held the missing adjustment key, and possessed access to the inner side of the speaking wall. None of that proved he had spoken Tavra's order or set the deep charge. It proved only that he had fled before the room could answer for him. Soren sealed the command annex and ordered every speaking wall record preserved. Tavra stood beneath witness guard. A steward who runs may fear fraud or punishment unrelated to the avalanche. Then he can return and name which fear moved him, Mairen said. A rescue bell sounded from the eastern cut. Not a survivor's answer. A keeper's warning. The remaining 5 patrol wolves had been traced beneath a shelf beyond the trade-blocking line. Fresh snow was filling the access trench. Mairen turned from the records. The mountain will close that chamber before your steward reaches the next road. Soren split the search. Royal riders would follow Odrin. Mairen would lead the rescue. The pass key remained at the crown guard's belt. You can chase the hand that adjusted the charge, she told Soren. But I still need permission to open stores that should answer to me. He ordered every rescue store opened. Mairen did not mistake access for restoration. At the eastern cut, the snow had hardened around broken marker posts. The 5 missing wolves lay beyond a pressure seam too unstable for a direct tunnel. Mairen drove sounding rods along the lower edge. 4 returned solid resistance. The 5th carried a faint vibration. Air seam. A keeper pressed a rescue bell to the rod. 1 strike answered. Alive. Mairen ordered a trench cut parallel to the slope. Soren took the rear anchor again, following her signals without speaking. The trench broke through beneath a shattered patrol sled. 3 wolves lay in the first pocket. 1 breathed. 2 did not. The survivor pointed deeper. 2 more. The second pocket had nearly collapsed. Mairen used heated line to melt a breathing channel, while the keepers supported the roof with sled boards. They reached the final 2 patrol wolves before noon. 1 lived. The other had died holding his cloak over the chamber opening. 28 patrol members had been rescued alive. 4 were dead. No names remained missing. Mairen recorded each truth beside Tavra's burial ledger. 32 had been written as dead before the first chamber opened. Now every name had a real condition. A burial ledger is not a death bell, she said. It is only paper until rescue stops. Soren sealed the original ledger as evidence of premature closure. He still did not hand her the key. Back at the station, the speaking wall records were opened. The wall carried voices through a stone channel from the warden's private chamber to the outer command desk. The clerk recorded time and order category, not the speaker. Before dawn on the day of the avalanche, the log showed 1 field change instruction. Category: route priority. Duration: 40. 3 breaths. Witness at outer desk. Brelin thatch. Inner access door opened by private winter seal. Tavra said, My seal authorized the chamber. It does not prove I entered it. Who else could open the inner door? Soren asked. My secretary and Odrin Vale. The secretary had remained at the grain office during the recorded interval. 3 clerks confirmed it. Odrin's stable record placed him at the lower fort an hour later, but nothing fixed where he had been during the order. The royal riders returned near sunset. They had followed his horse toward Senn Toll Road, where grain wagons waited despite the pass closure still being under inquiry. Odrin had abandoned the horse at an old tariff house. Inside, guards found the missing adjustment key, red charge fiber, emergency grain contracts, and a payment ledger. Tavra's private winter seal appeared on every release. No personal signature. The first payment had been made 3 winters earlier, 2 days after Aemon's avalanche redirected trade from Widow's Pass. Recipient: Odrin Vale. Purpose: emergency route consolidation. The current payment was scheduled for the morning after the patrol burial ledger was written. Same recipient. Same purpose. Tavra's voice remained level. Commercial officers receive compensation for activating emergency routes. Before rescue ended? Mairen asked. Before grain spoiled. You prepared profit while breathing men remained under snow. That was my duty to packs needing food. Then why did the contracts exclude the smaller packs that controlled Widow's Pass? Tavra did not answer. Niven compared the adjustment key with the scratches on the brass depth plate. The tooth spacing matched. Odrin's tool had altered the upper charge. Still, the tool did not prove who ordered his hand. Soren opened the tariff house correspondence. 1 sealed packet contained private instructions to Odrin. The handwriting belonged to Tavra's command secretary. The secretary admitted copying them from dictated orders. Whose dictation? Soren asked. The woman looked at Tavra. The warden's. Tavra did not confess. My secretary may be protecting herself from unauthorized commerce. Then the instruction should survive comparison, Mairen said. The dictated order named the first grain convoy, the closure target, and the need to keep station witnesses outside the route change. It ordered Odrin to preserve Brelin's name in the payment ledger if inquiry followed. The language matched the carving inside the speaking room. Soren suspended Tavra from border command and placed her seal under crown custody. He did not call the case complete. He ordered a public hearing at Widow's Pass for the rescued patrol, smaller packs, station keepers, and Amon's surviving witnesses. Mairen looked at the crown guard holding her pass key. You have taken her seal. Yes. You still hold mine. The station ruling will be heard publicly. You did not wait for a public ruling before you cut it from my throat. Soren accepted the words. At dusk, guards found Odrin beneath the old toll bridge, half frozen and carrying one final ledger page inside his boot. It listed 2 avalanche payments. The first followed Amon's death. The second required Tavra's private approval before the current patrol entered Widow's Pass. At the bottom, Odrin had written, "If the warden denies the order, open the voice cylinder sealed beneath her speaking wall." The stone beneath Tavra's speaking chamber was opened under the eyes of the rescued patrol. A narrow copper cylinder lay inside the wall channel, wrapped in oilcloth and sealed with the private winter seal. Odrin Vale had marked its position, in case the same office that issued his orders later denied them. Soren ordered the cylinder carried to the public platform at Widow's Pass. No one opened it in secret. 28 rescued patrol wolves stood or sat beneath heat blankets. 4 empty places had been left for the dead. Smaller pack leaders, station keepers, lower fort clerks, and families of those once written into Tavra's burial ledger filled the slope below. Mairen stood beside the station doors. The pass key still hung from the crown guard's belt. Tavra Senn faced the hearing without chains. A voice caught in metal can be altered, imitated, or removed from context, she said. Then context will stand around it, Mairen answered. The cylinder was set into the speaking wall's receiving cradle. When Niven turned the release pin, a thin, metallic voice entered the winter air. It was Tavra's. Close Widow's Pass before the first grain convoy. Use the upper charge if the shallow release fails. No station witness. Let Brelin carry the field change. If inquiry follows, the payment ledger will explain his motive. The recording ended. Tavra did not confess. She argued that the cylinder might preserve a planning discussion rather than a final command. She said Odrin had acted beyond authorization, that Brelin had still turned the marker, and that emergency grain continuity required contingency planning. Mairen did not answer with outrage. She placed the surviving evidence in order. The cut warning rope, the turned route marker, the 2 missing charges, the trade blocking depth, Brelin's written request for delay, Odrin's adjustment key, the speaking wall log, the payment schedules, the voice cylinder. Then she placed Amon's cracked rescue bell beside them. A deputy can turn a marker, she said. A steward can alter a charge. But neither man taught this border office to close rescue before breathing chambers were opened. That practice was already here when my husband died. The old Amon file was read aloud. 3 winters earlier, Tavra had served as acting warden. Amon had discovered unlisted upper charges and warned command. His warning disappeared. The station was closed 6 hours after the slide. His bell response map was removed. The official record called his final movement panic. The recovered post told another story. Amon had carved a deflection groove that turned the heaviest avalanche away from the village and into an abandoned ravine. He had not been fleeing the mountain. He had redirected it. The hearing did not declare every choice he made perfect. It did remove the finding that his recklessness caused his death and endangered the village. Soren faced Mairen before the corrected record was sealed. Mairen Clove identified an unlawful upper charge, altered its pressure path away from the village, and continued rescue after Border Command abandoned the slope. His record will name that service. Mairen's hand rested near the cracked bell. A corrected record is not mercy. No, Soren said. It is truth returned after power kept it late. The patrol roll came next. 28 names were entered as rescued. 4 were entered as recovered dead, with the location and time of each chamber opening recorded. No one was called dead before being found. The original burial ledger was preserved as evidence of the failure that nearly made administration final before rescue began. Soren removed Tavra from Border Command and froze Senn border holdings pending restitution to the smaller packs forced onto its road. Odrin, the command secretary, and every officer who handled the charges would face separate judgment according to their own acts. Tavra's guilt was not assigned by Avalanche Stones. It was built through custody, orders, profit, witnesses, and the pressure pattern she had tried to turn into weather. Then Soren took the passkey from the crown guard. He did not hold it out to Mairen in private. He stepped before the station keepers, patrol survivors, and pack leaders. I trusted a sealed ledger over the woman who still heard life beneath it. I treated command order as safer than mountain knowledge. I closed this station while breathing men remained below. He placed the key on the red rescue cord before Mairen. The station is restored under Mairen Clove's authority. Not until the next emergency. Not as a temporary witness. As keeper of Widow's Pass. Mairen picked up the key only after the public record was signed. The new border charter divided authority among the rescue station, smaller ridge packs, and rotating independent witnesses. No warden could alter a route alone. No charge could leave storage without two named custodians. No burial ledger could be opened until every reachable breathing chamber had been tested by rods, bells, and heat search. Avalanche stones were entered into border law as pressure evidence only. They could show where force began. They could not name guilt. Trade control over Widow's Pass passed to a council of the smaller packs whose winter survival depended on it. Mairen received authority before anyone spoke of love. For the next 6 days, she remained at the station, directing recovery, rebuilding marker lines, and training new keepers. Soren worked where she assigned him. He carried anchors, repaired bell cords, and stood behind her during every pressure reading. He did not ask forgiveness. On the 7th morning, snow lay quiet across the pass. Mairen found him outside the station without crown guard or royal cloak. In his hands, he carried Amon's cracked bell and a length of new red cord. "I had the fracture cleaned," he said. "Not repaired. That choice is yours." She examined the bell. He had not polished away the old scratches. "Why bring it to me?" "Because I once believed silence meant nothing remained to answer." Mairen threaded the new cord through the bell's broken loop. "You still cannot hear the mountain as I do." "No. You will not use that weakness to make my knowledge suspect again." "No." She tied the bell beside the restored pass key. Soren looked toward the upper ridge. "May I walk the morning route behind you?" Not beside her. Behind. Mairen opened the station door. "Follow where I step." He did. Above Widow's Pass, the Avalanche Stones rested beneath fresh snow, holding memory without judgment. Below them, the rescue bells rang because living people had finally been given more authority than quiet records.